Hey, Galen.
Yes, Oni.
What is this? Do you know what year it is? This is the 35th year anniversary of Super Mario, so I thought for this cold open you could give me your best Mario impression.
Mamma mia, let's go.
Oh, racist.
Oh,
Try again.
I'm sorry, let me give you the other Mario impression. Agabribigago.
Oh, racist, come on.
Hey, paisanos.
Do you know how many listeners we have in Italy? You're offending all of them. By the way, buongiorno.
that means good morning.
Mm-hmm.
They could be listening to this in the evening. You don't know. Don't stereotype them.
Oh, them?
Yeah.
That's the word you want to use?
You now set up the precedent that all people in Italy only listen to our show in the morning. I don't know, that's very narrow-minded. I expected more from you.
Meanwhile, you and your racist voice, you are just like Super Mario because we all know Super Mario's a speciesist against the Koopas.
Well, we definitely know that he is abusive towards animals. I've seen Yoshi's bruises.
Oh my goodness. You would think Mario would get bruises from riding Yoshi bareback. Oh, we know he has a saddle.
Yeah, he's got a saddle, but, like, it is officially confirmed that he is punching Yoshi's head to make him do the whole tongue thing in Super Mario World.
What? Is this news?
No, well, it's news, but it's a couple of years old. Where have you been?
I've been on where have I been? What's the name of any island in Mario right now? I just don't even know a Mario location.
Listen, I know you've been holed up in the Donut Plains under a rock, but...
Oh, there we go. That's it. It's episode 78. Finally, Galen saved the podcast.
Cue the It's Always Sunny music.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Replaced with Galen Ruins the Podcast.
Mm-hmm. Hello, my lovely monados. Friends, thank you for joining us today on the Nintendo Everything Podcast, episode 78. My name is Oni Dino, and with me, I have a man who's really feeling his own Xenoblade. A little too often, if you ask me. It's Galen.
You have to be careful, because one side is really sharp.
Awful. And there's a laser beam coming out.
And it helps you see the future. But only when it glows.
We're moving too much into everywhere. We need to move on because we have a lot of things that we're going to talk about in this episode. Lots of topics, Galen.
Yes, we do. Oni, what are we going to be talking about?
Well, how about you let me run the show? What? God, even in the middle of the day, I'm tired. Just put me in my dumpster and close the coffin.
Remembering last episode, and now I'm imagining the dumpster wrapped up in belts.
And it has a whole bunch of Roman numerals all over it. Roman numeral -358 divided by 2. There was lots of game announcements this week. Also, yet another E3 replacement all-digital event to throw into the pile.
Yep.
Plus some rumors, plus some closes. We got a lot of things to talk about. We're gonna fold the negative and the positive together into kind of like a shit sandwich. Or actually, it's the opposite of a shit sandwich. It's gonna be all the good stuff in the middle, covered by 2 piles of poop.
I'm pretty sure that is still a shit sandwich.
Yeah. So, are you hungry for this podcast? What? Just aiming so low.
The content is the good meat. We're the shit.
Yeah. All right. So, how about you give us a shitty review? Except a good review on iTunes, and you also share us with everybody. We're on all the podcast platforms, going live every week, weekly show, blah, blah, blah. We're on the Google Podcast, Stitcher, Spotify, iTunes, all that. Help us grow in these uncertain times. Like every single commercial and every single email that you get is like, in these uncertain times.
The world has changed forever.
Oh God, that reminds me of like superhero movies where they're like, the world's changing. And now the world has changed. The process of changing is complete. Let's change subjects.
I was about to say, in this situation, which one of us is Thanos?
You.
It's because I'm
But
big
like a
and
really
purple.
shitty Thanos. Your shadows. Shadows.
We do have similar chins.
So Galen, what's going on this week in Animal Crossing?
So quick PSA from
Wait, no, hold on, over the wrong. Galen, where do you talk about Animal Crossing on the internet?
I talk about Animal Crossing on the internet on Twitter. So you can find me there at Mobius087. Oni, where do you not talk about Animal Crossing because you refuse to play this game?
Oni Dino tweets over at Oni_Dino. And now Galen, tell me your PSA. Your PSA.
So my PSA is that from May 1st to May 7th, so the week that this podcast goes out, there is a special May Day event going on. So, long story short, all you need to do is talk to Tom Nook. He'll give you a special ticket, and it sends you to the May Day Island.
Is it like raining fire? What's going on there?
It's actually kind of cool. So they take away all of the items, so you don't have to worry about not having enough space or anything. And they send you to the island, and you basically have to go through a maze that is set up there. The maze is randomly generated, so there's not going to be any like tutorials on how to get there quickly or whatnot. But yeah, it's a maze. There's a lot of prizes that are kind of hidden throughout it. There are some obstacles, like there's a tree in your way, but you can go through this other path to go ahead and get an axe in order to cut the tree down. And all in all, it's a lot of fun. If you go through the maze, you will get some bell vouchers, so there is a prize for participating. But there is also a special resident who is at the end of the maze itself, and he will reward you with a special item. And I'm not going to ruin who it is, but I will say it is an OG Animal Crossing character. So,
oh, cool.
Yeah, so just a fun little thing. I will give you a warning. There's only one trip through the maze. I don't know if there's going to be other ways to get these tickets. I don't think there will be. But yeah, you get one shot. Make sure you clear out some time if you plan on doing it. And yeah, it's just, make sure you do it before the 7th.
So, it's an island.
Yes.
Where it's got mazes. Your items are gone.
Correct so far.
Lovely prizes.
Mm-hmm.
And a fantastic resident at the end.
Yes.
I think that we can condense this into an acronym, and we can just call this MILF Island.
I appreciate the joke. I think it was a little bit of a stretch, but I like where your head's at.
Galen, we no longer want to hit that.
What was that, 30 Rock? That was 30 Rock, right?
It was 30 Rock. Get with the times,
so.
Okay? 9 years ago. I bet it was even longer ago. Jesus.
No, 9 years sounds about right.
Oh, God, put me back in the dumpster while you talk about... Galen, what do you think about Exit the Dungeon? Boy, these words.
So yeah, I decided to try out Exit the Gungeon. This is something that I've actually had in my catalog for a while, but other games, mainly Animal Crossing, have completely taken over my life and haven't been able to dive into it lately.
Mm-hmm.
This is an interesting one, I will say that. I'm still kind of processing my feelings on what I think of this game itself.
You did talk about this game maybe a good month or so ago when you first tried it out?
Yeah, because it was a shadow drop back on like March 17th, and that was their big stinger reveal at the end of the mini direct of, hey, guess what? This is now a thing. Made by the same people as Enter the Gungeon, so still developed by Dodge Roll, still published by Devolver Digital. uses the same characters and everything, but it is a very different beast altogether. So whereas the original Enter the Gungeon was more of, let's call it a bullet hell roguelike dungeon crawler.
That's accurate.
This is more of a 2D action twitch shooter. A lot of the mechanics are the same. You can still roll and dodge past the enemy bullets. You still have a wide variety of guns, which are very, very fun to use. But there are new levels to it as well. The fact that it is now placed on a 2D background as opposed to a top-down, you have some physics like you're able to jump. And as weird of a change as that is, you're also immune to any of the bullets when you are jumping as well. The only time you can get damaged is when your feet are on the ground.
Oh, so your jump is when you're invincible.
Yes, and you can also do a dodge roll while you are in mid-air, which gives you a little bit more movement and flexibility in how you are traversing. So mechanically, yeah, this is a very interesting twist on the old franchise. I would say it changes genres a little bit too when it does this as well, because it is no longer the exploratory dungeon crawler that the game first was. Every single level that you play in is now on a rising elevator, because the first game you were trying to get to the bottom of the dungeon. Well, guess what? The dungeon is collapsing inwards and now you have to get out of it.
So you're playing like the last act of the narrative arc.
Yeah, basically. But yeah, every level is on a rising elevator. Each level does have different mechanics to it. Like the first one is pretty basic. The second one, you can move the elevator left and right via some platform buttons.
Sounds like Cube.
So there is a little bit of variety as you're going through the game. But again, it doesn't have that exploratory feel that really kind of caught me and drew my attention to the first game.
So are you a little bit less hot on this one?
A little bit, yeah, but I'm slowly becoming a little bit more acclimated to it. This is the first game in a while that I've had to mess around with the button placements and everything, as far as like the hotkeys. Like, you need to have a button to shoot, you need to have a button to jump, you need to have a button to dodge roll, you need to have a button to... And it's still that twin stick shooter mentality of one stick is used for aiming in this 2D environment, the other one is for moving your character. So you really want to prioritize more of what your trigger buttons can do for you, so you don't have to move your thumb off of any of the sticks.
Right.
But initially, a lot of those buttons are like, hey, press this one to use your blank, which eliminates all the bullets on the screen. It's your get out of jail free card. This button does a jump and a dodge roll at the same time. But you don't always want to do both of them at the same time. So there's a lot of like hotkey switching that I needed to do.
But did it end up working out for you though?
So far, yeah, I'm becoming much more comfortable with the game itself. It is manic enough that I definitely want to try to play this with a Pro controller versus the Joy-Cons, because I have very large hands. The Joy-Cons are very tiny.
Yeah, in general, I'm not like super taken with the Joy-Con. Like, I like being able to take them both off, lay down, and play on the TV with both of my hands, like just kind of laying there, like the ultimate lazy mode.
Oh, yeah.
But they just kind of don't feel super great. They're like 70% there.
Yeah, I personally really like the Joy-Con, and I like a lot of the things that they've put into it, but man, that size sacrifice to keep the entire package compact that's a struggle. So, But getting back to Exit the Gungeon, one other thing that's really weird, that's really kind of throwing me off in the game. So, what I liked so much about the original was when you are doing your dungeon crawling, there were certain builds that you can kind of move your character towards. And yes, each character had its own unique perk. The hunter had a pet that came along with it. The rogue had a pair of lockpicks that you could use to unlock certain treasure chests in the game. Well, because there's no exploratory aspect, a lot of those differences I'm still not really seeing there. Like, I can't tell why would I play one character over another. But more so, they have taken away the weapons that you can build your character towards.
Okay, what do you mean?
Well, instead, what they have done is they give you they call it a blessing, and it's literally this goddess that comes down and like enchants your character. She changes out your weapon that you are currently using every minute. And it's a random weapon that you get. So 1 minute I'm jumping around using this gun that shoots a giant tentacle that literally like crushes and grasps the enemies across the screen. The next minute I'm holding a frog that shoots out bubbles.
Right.
And as you do. And I have to keep with that until the next minute goes by, and all of a sudden I have a shotgun shell that shoots out shotguns. Like, the weapon variety is so bizarre and so off the wall, and I absolutely love coming across those weapons and just finding this rare, what the hell am I using? But at the same time, there's very little control, and it becomes more of the shooting is almost an afterthought, and what you really need to focus on is the dodging more than anything else. If you liked the first game, this is still worth a try. I gotta play it some more to really decide how I feel about it. I need to look at this as a standalone game as opposed to a sequel.
So Exit the Gungeon, a huge, gigantic failure.
I definitely would not call it that because...
You just did. I listened to you. You said it. I saw you doing it.
The mechanics are still completely spot on. Everything feels very tight in the game. And the movements that you make, it's got that Dark Soul-esque mentality of if you make a mistake, you understand where the mistake was. And it's not like the game is punishing you arbitrarily. It's I understand why this punishment happened.
Let me tell you, though, about a game that does punish all of its characters regularly with Remothered Tormented Fathers.
Okay.
Yes, exactly. It's the goofiest name of a good game. From a small team in Italy, it's the unofficial spiritual successor to Clock Tower. It's the story of Rosemary Reed, who's definitely not Jodie Foster, visiting the Felton Villa to meet with a sick patient with a saggy butt, Dr. Richard Felton.
Okay.
So, in the spooky, dimly lit mansion, Rosemary encounters PS2 jank in abundance, a bio-curse, and the demons of Dr. Felton's past, her own past, and basically everyone else's. All while the coolest antagonist designed since Pyramid Head chases her down as she runs away in high heels.
As you do.
Is this the prequel to Jurassic World Park? Spooky nuns scare me!
Oh boy. Alright, I think I need a little bit more explanation on what the hell this game actually is.
I think you need to play it because you liked well, I don't know, you're an anomaly, I'll tell you what. This is evocative very much of PS1 and PS2 era survival horror.
Okay.
You got stalkers and they're chasing you, and you gotta solve the puzzles and you gotta figure out the mystery.
Okay.
So the story, it's intriguing enough, and it's told in an interesting but maybe not most efficient way. I don't want to even talk about the story because it's interesting enough that I was happy going in completely blind, and then I finished it and then done with it, and it was fun. It was good. It was a nice little experience.
It was entertaining.
Yes. Ultimately, it does do a good job of having a reveal and progression. That does make you look back on the whole story once you finished it, and all the little notes and photos and stuff that you experienced throughout the game, and then you look at them differently or more informed. So I think that that's a big achievement.
Okay.
And when I say it's maybe not the most efficient way, there were a couple of things that I went up onto the wiki after I beat the game, and I was I read a couple of things. I was like, oh, that happened in the game? Huh, okay. Yeah, okay. But so it could have been a little bit clearer on a couple of things, but those are minor gripes.
Like, did you feel like it was muddled through that you missed those? Or was it just you didn't make the connection originally when those points were happening?
I think that it was like intentionally obtuse because it is a mystery thriller game.
Okay.
But when they were sort of revealed, they were revealed in maybe not the most clear way.
Okay.
Because when I look back on it after I read something on the wiki, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, that did make sense. It's just, it felt like not everything was connected. All the parts were there in the story in the game, but just they weren't threaded together.
Do you feel like it begs a replay with the knowledge of the story to garner more understanding of it?
A little bit, yeah, because it's not a long game, and especially now that like I've played through it, I know like where things are, and I could play through it like way more efficiently and beat it in probably like an hour. But
Okay.
yeah, maybe, because the story was interesting enough that I feel like going through it a second time will actually give you the full look at everything.
Okay.
Speaking of looks, it looks like an early PS3 game.
Oh my. All right.
Yeah, definitely there's some PS2 jank all up in this game, which I do love, as everybody knows. Sorry, I'm talking too much about PlayStation and Nintendo podcasts. Sorry.
You are Sony Dino.
Sony Dino. So you're indoors, this gigantic mansion. It's Victorian and lavish. There's lots of big drapes everywhere, big windows, old furniture, like stuff that you would be like, oh, that's a Davenport or something like that. Whatever that is. But just big, beautiful furniture. And it's great because, like, from a visual point of view and how that makes you feel as a player, it makes you feel very out of place and, like, alienated because, I don't know about you, but I ain't never been around none of that shit before in my life. So when I'm, like, sneaking around in this house, it makes me very much feel like I am an intruder in somebody else's place and I do not belong.
Are you saying with your massive podcast dollars that you're not living the life of luxury surrounded by that stuff every day?
Imagine, girl. Imagine. Please, I'm watching my money so hard right now that, like, I'm playing, you know, my backlog of games, which is good, but also all these games are coming out and I'm like, I gotta watch my money. And, like, didn't get Resident Evil 3 and I didn't even get Trials of Mana yet because I just, like, gotta really watch my money. Like, money is tight right now.
Yeah, my bank account is kind of in quarantine right now, so.
Exactly. So there's lots of cinematic cutscenes in this game that drive the story and don't overstay their welcome, which is awesome.
Good.
And the cutscenes have all of this awkward direction. So very bizarre, and I love it very much. Like, when I say that, I mean that there's like all these little things that are just so slightly off and wrong. Like they're talking too close to each other, or they're talking like really quick in between each other. Like they didn't hear what the other person said, but they're still delivering lines kind of thing. I don't know. I feel like half of the team that worked on this were actually from outer space.
Just like not truly understanding like social conventions? Or...
Not human at all.
I am expressing human emotions.
Yes, exactly. I get total Deadly Premonition vibes. If it were maybe a bit more serious, because Deadly Premonition has like wacky, goofy things happening as well as serious stuff, but this is just very serious. Very campy horror.
Does it ever take itself too seriously?
No, perfectly fine. Speaking of that though, the Switch version doesn't look particularly great. I think when it launched, it had like a really bad launch and it looked like crap, but then they did an update that fixed a whole bunch of things.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. It still doesn't look great. Textures are very muddy and like the opening outside area looks like shit. But the inside of the house where the rest of the game happens is very atmospheric. Atmospheric.
You take that atmosphere and you just smear it all over the windows.
All over, just all up and top. like a baby seal. So it's very dimly lit in the game as well, and I think that actually helps the game. They do a really good job with lighting and contrasts. They're used very effectively, and, dare I say, visually arresting. So the Switch version, all in all, not a bad choice to go with as it stands right now with its current update. However, I would probably still recommend the PS4, the PC version over this one, but I am happy with the Switch version, played it all the way through, had a blast.
So Oni Dino recommends you to play it on the PS4.
Yeah, exactly. Who is this Sony bro? Or what do the crazy people say? Sony, I don't remember what they say.
I don't think they actually say that.
No, well, they say something, and it's so it's the least important thing in the whole wide world, so I never pay attention to it because, wow, console wars are dumbest and are only perpetuated by the dumbest.
Video games are good.
I think I mentioned Rule of Rose, or no, I was thinking about mentioning Rule of Rose earlier, but this game is Rule of Rose AF looking. That was a super atmospheric, creepy, depressing, late PS2 game, and I absolutely love it. Just put me right back in that dumpster, let me live in my filth, okay? Janky games, horror, this is what dumpsters were made for. Me and these video games.
You do love your dumpster fires.
Not the fire. I like the stench. And the sound. Let me tell you about the sound.
Okay.
Nobuko Toda did some of the music for this game, and if you're not familiar with her, you actually are, because she is of Metal Gear Solid series fame. She did, I think, music for almost the entire series. And when you're being stalked and everything, you're listening for audio cues, and your stalkers are giving off plenty of audio cues and saying creepy stuff, and it's great because it sort of forces you in and out of hiding, and that like pushes your stress levels up while you play, and that's exactly what you want to feel when you're playing a horror game, right?
Yeah. So you mentioned this, I think, very briefly beforehand, but elaborate a little bit more. So what is stalking you in this game?
Sure, yeah. I think I should have talked about the gameplay before I talked about the visuals. Note for later, Sony Dino. By the way, sorry if like the audio is not like super great on this week's episode, if I'm a little echoey or if there's bass happening. I'm recording in the middle of the day and in sort of a different area, so different stuff is happening and it's out of my control.
Yeah.
Doing the best we can. So you start off in the game and you go to this house, right? And you're trying to investigate like some certain happenings, some certain going-ons. Okay. And the very opening is like an interactive story bit. There's no thread or anything like that. It's just kind of introducing you to stuff, but like you move around and you control yourself. So that's always really nice. And that happens. Then your first like mission and your first like gameplay bit is you sneak back into the house and you're trying to find a specific room where music is coming from. And this is excellent because it allows you to get familiar with some of your basic surroundings in a safe situation. So like you walk around and you're like opening up, you know, the Davenports and dressers, and you're finding like little items and stuff like that. You're finding places that you can hide. And so you're kind of like, okay, all right, getting a little familiar with this. You know what I mean? Yeah. Because then after you find that room, then you start getting stalked by something. And there's multiple stalkers and multiple things going on. I want to try and give away as little as possible, but it's very Clock Tower. So the Clock Tower series, you know, you're always being chased by something, right? Mm-hmm. So that's what this game sort of is. However, in the positive, this is a very updated and modern gameplay compared to old Clock Tower games, where in old Clock Tower games, you could take like maybe one hit and then you would die after on the second hit. In this one, you can take quite a few hits and before it gets to be like instant death, which is a great thing for me because I really don't like games, especially in the past 15 years. There's been like horror games where it's just like you have no defense, bunch of jump scares, all you can do is run away. It's your only option, you know? Yeah. So in this game, you can find items in your environment and you can hold up to 3 items and then 1 defensive one. So actually in finding the items, you know, you're looking around your environment, you're paying attention to what you're seeing and like, oh, there's a dresser, I can run over there and be like, is there, you know, something in here I can defend myself with? I'll get back to that in a second, but the types of items that you get are throwable. There's like noise distraction ones and traps, and that way, you know, you can do different kinds of things with your stalker, or lure them out or defend yourself from them. And the defense item is like an edged weapon that you can use to save yourself from when the stalker grabs onto you and then you hit him and then you don't die.
Okay.
So you have a lot going on there.
Yeah. The whole defense weapons thing, I'm getting flashbacks of, like, Resident Evil 2 and being able to, like, equip a knife or something like that.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
The whole gameplay loop is that you're getting stalked by whatever, and you're trying to figure out these puzzles and figure out the mystery in the house, and you're picking up, Resident Evil style pictures and logs and stuff, and you figure out, like, what's going on and who is this and why and that kind of stuff, all the while being stalked.
Okay.
So as I mentioned, though, with, like, paying attention to your environments, you absolutely must do that, and it's great that the items are found in your environment, so you're, looking for them, because that that intentionally and subconsciously aids you, because you have to know what you saw and where and what you need to find and all that stuff. There's no map in this game. It's not that big of a game. It's just the right size, honestly, for no map. Because when I saw there was no map, I was like, instant bad for me. I mean, not like an instant bad game, throw it in the trash. Like, not that. I just meant, like, I need a map. I love a map.
Yeah.
However, I was fine with not having a map in this one. You need to keep a mental map. And the way that the house is designed is great. It's not completely mysterious, as long as you're not one of those people that really gets lost super easy. I'd say if you are one of those people, you might have a tougher time with this. For me, I'm okay at keeping, like, a mental map. The layout is very believable in that, like, there's 3 floors or something like that of the mansion, and so, like, floors 1 and 2 are pretty similar, except for, like, there's a study over here, and there's a bedroom over here, and, like, the hallway is different in this area, but, like, the corridors are the same.
Did you ever find yourself getting turned around at all in the game?
Very infrequently, and that felt like just the right amount, because you don't want to be in complete control, right, if you're being stalked. So I felt like it was very fair.
Okay.
And as for the puzzles, you're finding items to unlock this, to move and make progression. They do a pretty good job of making sure that each puzzle solution that you figure out leads to progress, and then you don't have to jumble too many things at once, and it's not too obtuse. There was 1 or 2 times I was like, what? Like, where am I supposed to go? That kind of thing. And then there was one time that you need to find batteries for something. There's 2 places that you need to find batteries, but the right kind of batteries. And I think that that's really dumb, and that's really bad writing. You know what I mean? Like, just make one thing be like, you need, like, an electrical cord, and then the other one be a battery.
This needs a AA, and I only have AAAs.
Kind of. It didn't go that far, but it was definitely like, okay, you need batteries for this thing in the basement, and you need also batteries for this thing in the 3rd floor. So I went to the wrong one at first, and I was like, oh, well, that just doesn't feel good. I remembered that this needed batteries, and this item in my inventory is a battery, so I just guessed wrong. You know what I mean? They could easily fix that by saying, okay, you need an electrical cord for the one in the basement instead of a battery. So that was annoying, but I mean, that's kind of a small gripe compared to lots of other gripes.
Yeah.
Like, this is janky for sure. I never had any, like, hard crashes or anything like that, like nothing game breaking, but definitely like, okay, she's picking up this item and her hand is twisting around. Her hand is twisting around in a way that a human's would not. And whoa, is she over emoting with her face, and just lots of really weird stuff, but it was great. I had, like, a really fun time with this janky game that made me feel nostalgic for, like, horror from the PS1 and PS2 era, which was kind of like the last hurrah for horror games before they became something I didn't like.
Yeah.
Just a nice horror psychological story, and satisfying, very satisfying.
Well, that sounds like a lot of fun.
Yes, highly recommended to anybody of horror games of old.
And this was Remothered Tormented Mothers.
Nope, Remothered Tormented Fathers.
God, Remothered. It sounds like should be a frickin' Kingdom Hearts game or something.
It does, doesn't it?
Kingdom Hearts Remothered.
Exactly. This title makes sense after you play through the game. Still a goofy title. But hey, it sticks out. At least it's not like Spook Quest, The Blood That Vampire.
Now that's a good title.
Actually, that's not bad. So hey, it's the news time from the NintendoEverything.com, and I have a shit sandwich of a news for you.
You're still trying to work that in.
If it's worth it, then you're worth it. Thing down, flip it, and reverse it. So Galen, why don't you start off and give us the worst news ever?
So there are rumors floating about with a decent amount of credibility that there will be no Direct this June. Stop the presses.
Mm-hmm.
So various sources are claiming that publishers are being told not to wait if they wish to make their own reveals individually, and Nintendo needs some more development time on its first-party games.
Yeah, specifically, this is coming from VentureBeat, who accurately leaked the last Direct.
Yeah, a lot of the sources that are saying this are claiming that the reasons for their delay and the lack of presentation is due to COVID-19, which is, it makes a lot of sense to me. Like, as much as I want to say, you know, well, Nintendo, you've got plenty of stuff to show, just give us a little bit of something. No, this totally makes sense. Like, Japan's work from home orders have probably just shot everything as far as productivity is concerned.
Yeah, I don't know how much this is actually happening right now, you know, for sure, but I will say that Japanese society and businesses in general have a tremendous difficulty dealing with any change whatsoever. So suddenly being told you have to work from home, that's like being told you have to work on top of a volcano or something like that.
Yeah.
For lots of Japanese society. Like, I have friends in the localization industry that are still commuting to work and going into the office because they're being told, oh, well, we can't work from home doing this. Yeah. And it's like, people all over the world are working from home doing localization. Like, you know, there's freelance localizers and we're working from home, but like those people are being told they can't just because it's, you know, high secrecy kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's the Japanese conservative thing of being like, oh no, this is the way and there's no deviation from the way.
Mm-hmm. Overall, like, it makes me a little sad that there's not going to be a Direct, but to be completely honest, I'm okay with it, and I'm forgiving of it due to the larger issues that are at hand.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I mean, again, this is a rumor, but still, it super sucks if this is true, but you can't blame anybody for it. It's just a weird-ass year, you know? Mm-hmm. We'll be fine. Video games will be fine. Video games will be happening. Just gotta take it on the chin, everybody.
Yeah. And I mean, let's do a recap of the games that we know Nintendo is going to be working on. Like, we know they're working on a Legend of Zelda sequel to Breath of the Wild. We know
we're done.
Yeah. we know they're working on Metroid Prime 4.
That thing is not going to be out for another couple of years, man.
No, but like, we know that Nintendo is working on games. So
yeah.
With that all being taken into account and the fact that they're, you know, rumored not going to be making an announcement in June, I imagine when they do make their next Direct, it's going to be absolutely amazing because they're going to just bring all of this stuff together all at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So.
We may still get some sort of announcement because they did say that the ARMS DLC character for Smash is going to be announced in June. That was a couple months ago that they said this.
Yeah.
However, there was an article, a Famitsu column. So in Famitsu, which is a weekly magazine, Sakurai has his own column. And we did translate that this past week, and Sakurai said that the DLC development is going off without a hitch.
Okay,
with
that's
working
good.
from home.
Yeah.
He did mention though that like because it is DLC, like it's fine. He said, if I can only imagine if we were in the early stages of development and this were the situation right now, we would be super screwed.
Yeah.
So him saying that, you know, because of the type of work we're doing right now, we can work from home for this particular thing, but he does empathize with like people who, you know, are in, you know, full-on game development and earlier stages, that kind of thing, because it is a huge hindrance working from home.
Exactly. And honestly, like, I'm remembering at the beginning of that direct where they said in bold letters, hey, take all of this with a grain of salt as far as launch dates are concerned, because COVID is kind of messing up everybody's timetables for everything. So,
yeah,
I'm actually really happy with the quality that we got in that mini direct. So, yeah.
So, though that may not be happening in June, guess what is happening? Gaming is saved.
Who is our savior?
Geoff Keighley.
Geoff Keighley? The host of the Video Game Awards?
He's hiking up his skirt and he's putting himself out on another street corner of gaming.
That man is a GD hero.
A GD superhero.
Mm-hmm.
He has announced Summer Games Fest, which is another digital industry-wide celebration of video games.
Yep. And it has absolutely nothing to do with any sort of sponsorship deals that are just begging to be asked for.
So you can expect breaking news, in-game events, free playable content.
Subway.
Eat fresh.
Yeah. I'm just saying that's one of the things you could probably expect. I'm expecting
or
Subway.
A new deal. Maybe Chipotle. I just don't care. I can't even count anymore. It's like 4 or 5.
Honestly, this is the third that I can think of.
Third? Okay. I just don't even care.
Yeah. My thought process is slightly askew right now because now I'm just thinking of what game would Chipotle sponsor?
Oh, I hope it would be like a zombie cannibal game. Like maybe Cannibal Holocaust, the movie. So, Geoff Keighley whoring himself out for video games.
The game. I will say this event is a little different because they are saying they're going to be running it for the majority of summer. They are saying that it's going to be from May to August. I don't know how that's going to work exactly.
That is weird. Like, I thought it was just like a thing happening. I thought it was just like an E3 digital event kind of thing.
No. I mean, if you look at the trailer that they had put out to sponsor this, which is just another sizzle reel of all the game trailers from last year, which I noticed that as a trend.
I didn't even watch the video.
They're saying that this is going to be the Summer Gaming Fest, and they said that the entire thing in the news is going to be coming from May to August, which is a very, very bold claim. I mean, it kind of makes sense because, when you look at E3, a lot of people think that E3 is just those press conferences that are done in the first 3 days, but it's a week-long plus event. I don't know, like, this particular one seems like a very bold and broad claim, just being like, hey, get our name out, look at us.
Yeah, I mean, Geoff Keighley has definitely the clout to do this, considering he has the Game Awards and he's very well connected. So and I think that's really what he's trying to do, because especially when he has these things going on, his face is very much at the forefront of it, right? Yeah. And the guy seems like a really hardworking guy and like a good guy. Seems nice, but there is a bit of like I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to say anything mean. I'm not trying to say anything mean, but it seems a little bit of a vanity thing for him, maybe.
You not wanting to say anything mean?
Shut up.
My God, it is the end of days.
Well, here, I'll do you one better. They said that, quote, Geoff Keighley will be curator and host for pre and post shows. Mm-hmm. And then when I read that, I thought, Geoff Keighley, the only thing that he should host is a Parasite. Galen, what is the silence? I'm expecting laughter and applause.
So just like Geoff Keighley.
Listen, do not insult me and my direct-to-video quality jokes, okay? This is serious stuff. You're on this podcast to laugh at my bad jokes. You're my materia. Do you not remember?
Yeah, no, that's true. I mean, to be fair, you're still a step above me. You know, you're direct to video. I'm still like YouTube indie project.
You're like beta. You were done in the 80s. Sweary, teased in a tweet earlier, and now there was an announcement that Deadly Premonition 2 coming way sooner than we thought. It is launching worldwide July 10th.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
So this is a sequel, and I have a feeling that you can jump right into this because so much stuff about the first game doesn't make sense, and it is very bizarre storytelling and very, very Twin Peaks. So you can just jump right in, and it'll be fine that it doesn't make sense because that's the point, I think.
Yes.
Swery's whole thing, especially with the first game, it's whatever, is writing really weird characters and interpersonal relationships. This extremely unique and awkward appeal to it.
I have still yet to have the pleasure of going through a Swery game.
I can't believe it, too. Like, what is wrong with you, Galen?
I know, right?
And you know what? Now is the frickin' time because Deadly Premonition Origins on the Switch is on sale 50% off in the US eShop. It is only $15 US.
Yep, on sale until May 17th.
Yep, so what's your excuse, jackass?
Returning back to the topic, you were saying this is a sequel, or Deadly Premonition 2 is a sequel.
Yeah.
I from what I understand, it's both a sequel and a prequel, because there is some time hopping that is being done in the game itself.
Yes, which is also very Twin Peaks. If you guys ever have had any slight interest in Twin Peaks, my god, this is the most Twin Peaks the video game ever. There's also skateboarding in this game apparently too, which is going to be just as awkward and strange as it sounds like. So probably skateboarding is how you get around in the game from place to place. So before you had a car and you were driving around, and in this one there's skateboarding and you upgrade your skateboarding and you can do tricks with it. I can't wait. This sounds awful. It's going to be great.
Yeah. No, I really got a kick with reading the overview of this. And, you know, one of them was, like you said, the customization. The other one was mini games of bowling, the Bayou Ride, skateboarding challenge, and more. And I'm like, what game is this?
Exactly. And this is Swery, the guy who is also doing The Good Life and Hotel Barcelona, which he is doing with Suda 51. So those are two of my favorite weirdo Japanese creators, and I am so all in for supporting anything that those guys make because they are just interesting and different and exciting, and it's not just like, you know, an open world crazy game with power-ups and level up system and you gotta do these quests and stuff. Like, it is, they're doing their own thing with these games. They're weird.
Yeah. Did you happen to catch the trailer that they put out with the launch date on this game?
Yeah, I did. So it's not a gameplay trailer, which is a bit of a bummer. I hope that they do put out a gameplay trailer very soon. Yeah. But this was more like a music video or like an opening of the game.
Yeah, this definitely gave me feelings of the opening credits of the game itself. I do want to kind of call out the song that I decided to choose to play in that. I can't for the life of me remember what the song was called, but I actually really enjoyed it, and oddly enough, it made me more interested in the game because I got some serious Alan Wake vibes. Oh yeah, for sure. And I really enjoyed the original Alan Wake game. Right. So anything that can like make that connection for me, I am definitely interested in.
So Galen, to sort of make things make a little more sense for you, Deadly Premonition has the skeletal structure of Alan Wake.
That's awesome. I like that.
If it was a mechanoid human being thing made by aliens that don't understand how humans interact with each other or talk or how to audio mix a scene properly, it like the entire time your hands are not on the controller, your hands are on your head. Like, what is happening? It's that kind of game, and you must play it, Galen. You must.
That sounds amazing.
And the sequel is coming out only $50. It's not even $60. Hey, cool. Save $10.
Yeah. And they're even doing a physical copy of it, too.
Yeah, and did you see that box art? That box art looks great.
I didn't get a chance to check it out. I'll check it out after this, though.
It's kind of basically the ending shot of that trailer where it's like the big red tree. Just strong imagery.
Cool.
So anybody else who's just into wacky, weird stuff that just wants something new from video games, very much like video games as art kind of thing, please do check this out.
Nice.
Deadly Premonition 2. And our good boy Swery. I love that man so much. He is such an incredibly positive, wonderful human being. I had the absolute pleasure of just kind of running into him at a pre-TGS event. It was like a drinking and press networking event. And I saw him and I was like, I think that bitch is Swery. Like that is who that is. And went up to him and I was like, yo, drinking, kampai. And it was cool because he knew about me and Nintendo everything as well, which was really surreal. And just being able to like hang out with him and meet up with him afterwards too was just fantastic. That man just loves being happy, and I like being around him is infectious, and it just makes me want to support his games and support the crazy art that he's making too. Sorry for my tiny little story. And we're back. Oh, hey, whoa, does the audio sound better or worse? Oh, I don't know.
The magic of editing.
There's zero magic happening here. So we also got tons of details on the upcoming Xenoblade Definitive Edition.
Nice.
Galen, now, considering you're the most excited for this game on this podcast...
Yay.
What was that? What was that? Is that fakeness?
No, that was just
more
a ghost.
fakeness coming from you?
That was just a ghost. Don't worry about that. Continue.
We got confirmation this week that we are getting all of the quality of life updates that I have been craving so desperately.
Yeah, I was looking over some of these myself, and there's a couple that I'm very happy to see in there.
Yes, we're seeing a revamped quest system, making things way clearer, more in depth, in general with the map, as well as like quests linking to your map. That's all clearer and more detail there.
Excellent.
There is a town building aspect to the game in Colony 6, and those quests have been made more convenient for whatever that means. But anybody who has played the original Xenoblade knows that that could have been made way more convenient, so this is exciting. We're also seeing details about how all of the people in the game that you're going to meet are going to have profiles. In addition to their bonds, they're going to have information on where they're found, their active hours, what you can trade with them, and more, which is great because when I played the original game, I looked it up on a wiki, and I just kind of had a wiki all the time. So this is exactly like quality of life stuff that needs to be in the game for a game like this. And for those who don't know, Xenoblade has like a 24-hour clock system, and people are active. It's not just like, oh, it's nighttime or it's daytime. No, it's any of those hours and in any of these locations. So, this character might be here during these hours, then there, then there. It's pretty in-depth.
That is actually really cool. I didn't know that it had that sort of a mechanic in it.
This game was so ahead of its time. Well, I don't know if it was like ahead of its time, but it was super crazy impressive for its time, and especially impressive because it was on the Wii.
Yeah. I really appreciated the addition of, I think they called it fashion gear.
Fashion gear, like a cape to the throat.
Yeah. No, any game that lets me look however I want to and statistics be damned, I definitely appreciate. So.
Yes, they had this in Xenoblade Cross on the Wii U, which I still hope gets an updated port to the Switch, because that game's great. So you can basically mix and match. Mitch and Max, how about that? Mix and match any of the clothing that gives you good stats, the stats that you want. And then you're going to look absolutely awful. You look like an MC Escher painting. However, using fashion gear, which we have to call it like that, you get to choose whatever you want to look like. So it just basically covers all your cosmetic look.
I'm 100% for this.
My characters will be naked the entire time. I'm a creepy sex pervert.
They actually had a system very similar to that in Snack World.
Oh.
Yeah.
Cool.
And I haven't mentioned that game in a hot second, so...
Yeah. We have to still try out and see if we can play together, because I have the Japanese version.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. What I want to know more about is that they were talking about a new battle system that they were implementing in with the DLC, whatever the, future connected storyline is.
Okay, so from what we know, that's all included on the cart. There's no, DLC anything. This is
Correct.
Just the absolutely brand new thing to this game. So the game is, of course, like a remaster, re-up thing-majig. However, there is an epilogue called Future Connected, and we saw this sort of information leak through a Japanese download card, so you can go to retail places in Japan, and I think in other places of the world too, and you pick up the card, and the card is specifically designed as whatever the game is that you're buying it. And on the back it has the information, just kind of like you're picking up a box, except it has a download card on it. And so on the back there, it says that there is a new battle system in Future Connected. And there's no details on this because this hasn't been officially revealed, but it's going to be interesting what this means.
Yeah. I wonder how many more details are actually going to be coming out, considering that the game comes out this month.
I think the end of this month, or is it the middle of the month?
I'd have to look it up. I don't have the exact date in front of me, but I know it's really close.
Okay. Yeah. I hope that we're going to see more and more. I'd like to see a little... kind of okay, so I remember on the Wii U they did this for Xenoblade Cross, where they did a series of videos to promote it and explain the systems that are in the game, which was great for Xenoblade Cross because it was a brand new game. I don't think that they'll do it for this because it's a remaster or whatever, but anything to get a little more promotion out for this series that I love so much. I'm very excited about Future Connected too, because it's going to apparently sort of connect the games together, which I'm fascinated about. There's a plot element happening there that's, I don't know, I won't say it's a spoiler or something, but I just don't even want to mention it just to be super careful of it, because I want people to play this freaking game.
Yeah.
But it's explaining oh, this is happening right now because of something that happened. And it's very exciting if you know some of the other games. It's oh, is this a little breadcrumbing? Is that what's happening here?
You've been very, very excited about this game since I talked about it, so...
I just love the Xenoblade series. Why don't you play it?
Because I haven't picked it up yet?
It doesn't exist yet!
Well, you said Xenoblade series as in a whole.
Oh, okay. Well then, fine, sure. Answer the more difficult question. Go ahead. Put yourself in that position.
Because I haven't picked it up yet.
Is it because you're too weak? You're a softie? Is that what's going on?
I just...
Want to talk about it?
I couldn't see it coming.
That wasn't very good.
Neither was that question. Can we move on?
Wow. And now let's talk about the Hobonichi Mother Project. Galen-san. This is a Hobonichi Mother Project. Do you know Hobonichi?
Hobonichi, yeah.
Okay. So, Hobonichi is the company that Shigesato Itoi owns. Shigesato Itoi is the creator and the writer of the Mother series, known in the West as Earthbound.
Yes.
So there will be 3 volumes of books that are going to release sometime at the end of this year.
And what will be on those books?
Well, let me tell you, it's going to contain all of the game text from all 3 of the Mother games or Earthbound games.
Yeah.
This is awesome news because this is a series that has a very cult following, and people have been dying for Mother 3 to come to the West officially. There's, of course, a fan patch online that's really amazing, but people are still craving this series to come back and to truly support it.
Yeah, and I mean, Nintendo definitely recognizes that, yes, there is a fan presence who respects and wants to be part of this series. You know, look at the E3 a couple of years ago when they did that robot chicken animated segues between their announcements, and they actually made a joke about, you know, give us Mother 3.
Right.
So,
And I don't follow this too much just because I'm not the biggest Mother fan. I should be. I really should be, considering what it is on paper, but it just never really clicked with me. I never got the big charm of it.
Yeah.
But something I did want to point out is that this is a Japanese announcement and for Japan. So they did say in their little teaser video talking about these 3 volumes that are coming out that there will be more news happening before these 3 volumes are released at the end of the year. And it's going to be some kind of news that's going to please the fans of the Mother series. Now, I point these things out because some people be like, oh, is it a Mother 3 announcement? Probably not, because this is a Japanese announcement.
Yeah.
It already came out in Japan, you know?
No, most definitely. I'm trying to think of what they would be alluding to with an announcement that will make fans of the series happy.
That's a bad translation. I don't know who did that translation. Rather, that's such a direct translation that it bothers me. It should be that it pleases the fans. Make them happy is such a Japanese saying.
Well, I know that I tried to watch that teaser video and realized 30 seconds in that, oh yeah, I'm in the wrong place here.
Yeah, it was basically like a PowerPoint with a bunch of Japanese text on it. So if you couldn't read it, that's it.
Yeah.
I did hear that this company, Hobonichi, which is owned by Shigesato Itoi, they were hiring manga illustrators. So perhaps there's going to be a manga adaptation, some sort of illustrative book.
Yeah.
But we'll see. I would really like to see a proper Mother collection come out for the Switch. That way, it could gauge interest, revitalize the series a little bit, and hopefully get more entries in the series happening. I think so I don't follow the series too much, but I think that Shigesato Itoi was not interested in making more Mother games. I think that he was like, no, it's done with the 3rd one. I'm pretty sure I remember hearing that. So I mean, I have to totally respect a creator's vision where it's like, yeah, I mean, the story is done. We don't need to keep dragging this out, kind of thing. Very much respect that, right? But if people want, some sort of spiritual successor to the Mother series that, is evocative of the things that Shigesato Itoi has created, I think that that's really fair too. So I hope that Nintendo can do something like that. Some sort of Mother spin-off. Call it Father.
Well, and also I want to remind everybody that we live in an age where Final Fantasy VII just came out again. So, I mean, I could possibly see them doing a remake of one of the games, trying to keep to the original aesthetic, but, same thing, putting a little bit more effort into it, but still gauging the waters of, is this going to make enough of a splash to warrant the continuation of the series as a whole?
Yeah, because actually, from what I understand, the NES game, which was called Earthbound Beginnings after it finally officially launched on the Wii U.
Yeah.
The first one and the second one are basically the same game. The second one is just like the proper vision of what the first one was. The first one was like a late era NES game, I think.
Yeah. At this point, I think the most that we could wish for is an announcement of a remake, but that's seriously best case scenario. So
I don't know. I feel like that would be divisive, though, a remake.
Yeah?
Yeah, probably. Because, I mean, it's not like the game has aged poorly, I don't think. It's not like the battle system doesn't work or something. The battle system still does cool things. Like, for example, if you have really high HP, you take a big critical hit, your health starts going down like a roulette, and the battle moves on. But your roulette of your health is still going down, and this could be an attack that kills you. So it's going down to 0, but if you can kill the enemy before your health goes down to 0, or if you beat the battle or something, your health stops right there. So you just survived, a bunch of damage or even a death.
That is really cool.
It's super cool, and that's like an innovative thing that they did back then.
Yeah, and I wouldn't want them to change any of that, but, being able to bring that to a fresh new audience who might not have ever heard of Earthbound before, or the Mother series as a whole, other than, hey, that's one of the weird-looking kids from Super Smash Bros. Like, I can see putting a fresh coat of paint on this and saying, hey, look at this really special thing. But like I said, I think that would be best-case scenario. That would be taking a lot of risks that they haven't been willing to make up until now. So
And then lastly, to end this wonderful shit sandwich, Galen, how about you put some more shit bread on here?
Well, the shit that I'm piling on here is that some of the Latin American Wii U and 3DS eShops are going to be closing soon. Yeah, so it looks like Nintendo is pulling the plug on their eShops for those two older consoles. So this is going into effect starting July 31st. Mostly focusing on Latin American countries. So the full list is online. I'll let you guys look that up. But places like Peru, Jamaica, British Virgin Isles. British Virgin Islands. Wow.
Yeah, apparently these eShops that are getting shut down, they're ones that already weren't full eShops.
Yeah.
Apparently, I don't know exactly what that means, but they didn't have all the features on there. Countries like Brazil and Mexico are exempt and are not affected by this, so that's important for many of our listeners to know. However, we do have many listeners who are living in some of these Latin American and Caribbean countries. So, I mean, these are old shops, but still, maybe even the 3DS eShop, people want to be buying stuff on there. So hopefully they can buy something using a neighboring country's eShop.
Yeah, well, and it wasn't too long ago that Nintendo was still saying that they wanted to support the 3DS in its life cycle. So I'm sure you can still find 3DSs in stores.
Yeah.
It is also worth mentioning here that they specifically stated that the Switch eShops are not going to be affected by this.
Yeah, of course, right.
Yeah.
But this does bring up that age-old discussion of digital versus physical, right? And this is definitely a downside of digital, where if you bought something on these eShops and then you deleted it and then you're going to re-download it later or whatever, with the eShop going down, anything that you purchased on there, you can't do any more updates for your games, no more downloads, no more re-downloads of games you own.
It's also the reason why, old copies of the PlayStation 4 that still have PT downloaded onto it are going for such high prices on eBay too.
Oh, so. Right. Like in the digital versus physical nonsense argument, which is dumb, I'm for both. I think that options should be totally out there. I think that there are definitely positives and negatives for both of them, and this is just one of the negatives. So I mean, I'm not going to start that argument. I think that it's really lame, and I think that it's really stupid to criticize other people for having their preference.
Yeah, personally, ever since we went over to the Switch, I've been preferring digital content just because it's so much more convenient of being able to carry everything around.
Right.
Not to mention the space saver on my shelf of having to put 30 Switch games, back to back on there. But no, it's things like this. Eventually those digital marketplaces will go down no matter what the console. So
yeah. And
then there's a whole legality of people who want to strive to back up and archive these for it sounds pretentious, but for a historical preservation sense.
Yeah. No, it's totally true.
Yeah. It's an interesting topic. We should give this a little bit more thought and come back to it another day.
So my recommendation to anybody who is going to be affected by these closures is get yourself another, micro SD or external hard drive, whatever it is, and back up anything that you have that you do want to definitely keep.
Yep. And
back all that stuff up onto one of those drives, and then set that aside and keep that as fresh as you possibly can. I mean, physical stuff, this is digital versus physical, but physical stuff falls apart eventually too. There's wire rot and things like that happen. So eventually that's going to break down too. But keeping a separate second copy of your backups is always safe.
Yeah, absolutely. There is safety and redundancy.
Yeah, no, I like that. I think maybe I just take issue with the word redundant.
Oh.
Redundant has zero value to me. And so on to our additional DLC, where we recommend you something that we saw on the internet while we stared at it.
Yeah, not always the internet.
Galen?
Yeah?
Where did you go that you stared at something? You're not supposed to be outdoors.
It's true. You know what also should not be outdoors during the daylight are vampires.
Oh.
I had to work for that segue, but I'm taking it.
That was very good.
Thank you.
It's all downhill from here.
You know what also is good? What We Do in the Shadows, my additional DLC recommendation.
Galen, see, that was forcing it. That's redundant. Redundant writing right there.
What We Do in the Shadows is both a standalone movie or mockumentary as well as a TV show. The TV show, the much more latter in the franchise. It's all about this documentary crew who is filming the life and times of a bunch of vampires just living in a shared house. My wife and I have been thoroughly enjoying the TV show that is, I believe, on its second season right now. And yeah, it's just fantastic humor. I love the situations that they set themselves up in. It is very, I don't want to call it dry humor, but it's a fantastic show. I highly recommend it.
And for me, I am keeping on with the same trend as last week. I am recommending a song. This is a live performance by a band that I recently just started getting back into. The band is called Glim Spanky.
Okay.
That's a very Japanese name, of course. The song is called Orokamono Tachi. And the appeal of this band is they are very much rock and roll, not the kind of Japanese rock that you typically hear. The singer also has a very atypical Japanese voice. She has like slight Janis Joplin-esque vocals, very gravelly, very husky. And in this live performance, the bassist who is guesting in this performance is one of my favorite bassists ever. His name is Kameda, and he is also the bassist for the band that I recommended last week, Tokyo Jihen. So just check out all of my music. And now on to our most controversial segment of the show.
Mm-hmm.
It is
listener mail?
Oh, I thought we were doing... Okay, never... Yeah, sure. Yeah, listener mail. Okay.
I thought you were purposely waiting for me on that one.
Galen, you have a tablet, right?
I do?
You can type on that tablet, can't you?
I can.
You can also type on your phone?
Yeah. Sometimes the sausage grease from my fingers gets on it, but that's okay.
That makes sense. And also your PC. You can type on that?
Mm-hmm.
So many ways to send an email, some may say.
Yeah, you have to edit out my clickety-clackety sounds I make during.
There's a lot of bodily sounds of yours that I edit out. And if you'd like to know more of those bodily sounds that I edit out, you can write into us.
Don't do that. Don't give them inspiration.
I'll let you know. I'll let you know, guys.
Don't make those requests to Nintendo Everything Pod.
Everythingpod@gmail.com.
Nintendo Everything Pod @gmail.com.
It's when we read out your words, your thoughts, your questions, your desires. For us to talk.
Your segues into the listener mail just get more and more crazy every week.
Galen, I'm literally insane. Something is wrong with my brain.
Yes.
And your email might sound something like this.
This week we have an emailer by the name of Neptunius Beard. Hey Beard, how's it going?
Hello, Neptunius Beard.
He writes in saying, "Hello, Nintendo Everything crew. I occasionally comment under the name Neptunius Beard on the main website. I have noticed. I think you and I have had a couple of jabs back and forth."
He always has very logical and thoughtful comments. Whoops, that's my phone. Sorry.
How dare you ruin this podcast?
I have a grocery order pickup. There's a virus outside, for f***'s sake.
I've been following your podcast for a while, and I've really enjoyed it. Keep up the good work.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. With the recent release of Final Fantasy VII Remake, there have been a bit of controversy around the fact that the game was released in multiple parts. But to be honest, I don't really get what the problem in this case is. The idea that the game is only complete if it tells a complete story seems like a rather arbitrary rule that is applied arbitrarily. I am going to paraphrase this next bit. He does bring up some very good examples of other games that do not complete a full story. Mass Effect, the Spider-Man franchise for the Sony, stuff like that. But I do like this part that he brings up. No company is owed your hard-earned money, but I also think it's unfair to demand so much in a single $60 game simply because of the story, which, while important, is only a small part that makes a video game. This preamble is simply a setup to my actual question for you. Do you think Fatal Fury 7 Remake could have realistically maintained its quality in one game while telling the entire story? And if not, would you have preferred Square prioritize telling the whole story over the game's design? Curious to get your thoughts on this, so I hope you pick my question one of these days. Today is that day, Mr. Neptunius. Regardless of whether you agree with me or think I'm a silly boy, I love y'all, stay safe, and have a great quarantine. P.S. Sorry, not sorry for stealing your Fatal Frame bit for this week's show, Oni.
Thank you very much for writing into us.
Thanks. Thank you so much.
I have to say, so have a great quarantine is a terribly wonderful sentence to say at the end of there. It just reminded me that several years ago I was out drinking and the bartender was very nice but a little bit odd, probably because she was feeling really weird. She was going to prison tomorrow.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. So she had prison service or whatever for a couple of years, and she was going to get out, I guess. But so she was telling us about that. I had several drinks in me, and before I left, I didn't know what to say, and I just felt for her very much, and I said, "Have a nice time." My friends laughed at me as we left.
As, you know what? As they should.
Okay, so here we go. This is the big one. This is the Final Fantasy VII talking here. You know I got feelings and opinions. I'm a man-child on this.
Spoilers at the end of the episode.
No. We're not going to talk spoilers. We already talked a little spoilers last week's episode, I think. So don't worry, no spoilers right now.
I might talk spoilers.
Well, I might edit them out and put a big fart sound right where you're talking. So I definitely feel you on this. I definitely think that a story can be told in multiple parts, though there does need to be a satisfying structure with a full narrative arc that happens within your game. The idea that a quote-unquote complete story is kind of subjective when you're writing an ensemble cast, because you're to believe that the characters go on and do their own thing, after the game ends, and you believe that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, in that sense, you could be like, well, then their story isn't complete, because what is a complete story? Their whole life? You know what I mean? Like, it's just arbitrary. So, totally feel you on that, Neptunius Beard. That's why it's like really weird to retrofit this idea into an already established game that they're breaking up into multiple parts seemingly. And of course I'm talking about Foo Fighters 7 Remake.
I still have yet to actually play this game. I played the demo. I have actually been watching somebody doing a Let's Play of it. And fortunately this guy, it's one of the guys on Team 4-Star, he's doing it, and he's doing it from home solo, so he kind of goes into these quiet moments when the story is progressing. So there's not a lot of commentary that's overlapping what's going on.
Yeah.
On top of that, I would also like to shout out the Completionist and his review of Final Fantasy VII Remake, because he does an excellent job of... It is a little spoiler-filled in his episode, keep that in mind, but he also does a good job of recapping it without ruining too much of it. So I've garnered a much better understanding of some of the things, like the twist ending that you alluded to last week.
Yeah.
All this setup is basically to say that I feel like this is a fantastic troll game, because I don't necessarily feel like this is a remake from what I'm seeing.
So, I've seen people say that. I just don't think that these writers had that intention. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm talking about Nomura, and then also by extension Kitase and Toriyama. Toriyama, I think, was the scenario writer on this, and Kitase, was he the producer on this? Either producer or director, and then Nomura is the other one.
Yeah.
Those are three men who have great premises, great concepts, and they very much care about their stories.
Mm-hmm.
They're also senile old men, and they are very hit and miss with a lot of their most recent output. It's like, you know what? How about you guys put together a premise and you let some of the younger talent tell the story, you know? I just don't think that they've executed this remake or this retelling or this twist of a game properly in a satisfying way, because like, honestly, I feel like I would have preferred this whole thing to be completely rewritten and changed. I think it kind of needs to be that way if they want it to be in multiple parts. Talking about what you were saying with like it being a troll game and it being like a twist ending and stuff, not going into spoilers or anything, but I think that the ending in Mozilla Firefox 7 Remake is it just kind of happened. There wasn't too much build up. They introduced a concept that, you know, happened at the end, but the whole thing just kind of happened, and it was just kind of like unsatisfying narrative build up, very J.J. Abrams, Nomura kind of hollow emotional stuff happening for me.
Yeah. Again, I'm just looking at the bullet points of the entire thing and just kind of reading the first couple of chapters of this story that's being told to us.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm already seeing in like the Let's Play that I'm watching, the subtle hints that, yeah, this isn't necessarily the same game that you remember. Like, there's a reason that certain things are out of order and they've been structured differently. And I think it was Nomura who went on record saying that he didn't want to remake Final Fantasy VII unless there was something that was worth revisiting or something that was worth bringing new to the table. A lot of the people that wanted a remake of the game wanted the exact same thing. Honestly, from my understanding of this, I feel like Final Fantasy VII Remake is Final Fantasy VII 2.
So here's the thing. It's riding the line and it's not, you know, picking a side, because I would have preferred it to be like, okay, maybe in the second bombing mission, that's when stuff totally changes from there. You know, you lead people in and then it totally changes from there. But the thing is that the whole game, even having beaten the game and seeing like what the ending is, and hopefully what will go forward with the game being totally different, is, oh god, like I have so many feelings. I'm just like, where do I go with this? It's weird that it would be like marketed as a remake. It is literally called Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Mm-hmm.
I hope it's going to be a totally different thing. It's still not particularly confirmed. It's just kind of hinted at with the, well, not even hinted. It's really suggested with the ending. I'm hoping that they're not just going to do the same game again, but with like several changes that don't change the major story beats. I want it to be totally different, because I really enjoy art and stories that are like directly confrontational with its audience, especially when it's a shit audience, like, you know, piss baby gamers. Like, sure, just stick it right in their face. Go ahead. It's fine. So I have no complaints that they changed things up. I wanted them to change it more. The whole game felt like we had to do these things. So, hey, it's the second bombing mission. Hey, you go and see Aerith and you fall in the church. And then, oh, remember Wall Market? Now it's this. And it seriously, it followed the whole structure of the game up until the last chapter. It was still the same thing, just with like bloat and some added cool stuff. So it isn't really like a totally different game than the first thing. It really isn't. And I want it to be. You know what I mean? I think that people are kind of grasping, I think, at that, and maybe adding extra importance to it. You know what I mean? When people like sort of look into something like a little too much, and you know, like for them, that's fine. That's good. You know, I'm not a part of it. That I wish to be excused from something like that. And my last point that I want to say before I let you start talking again, Galen, I'm sorry. I'll take the chains off in a second. You mentioned like Nomura didn't want to remake this unless he felt there was something revisiting. Sure, that's a nice artistic way to like look at it. However, I think that Square Enix had a break glass in case of emergency thing, and that was Final Fantasy VII Remake, and that's why this happened. You know what I mean?
And I feel like this game was the compromise between those two ideals. Like, I honestly...
I mean, sure, but I mean...
Okay,
I don't know where that's coming from.
Here's the thing. I really feel like they are adding a new layer of... on top of this entire thing because of the success of Final Fantasy VII. Like, there have been people that have quoted that, yeah, this is a commentary on the meta of the game, and yeah, I don't want to go too much into that. But Final Fantasy VII is in a weird state where it is impossible to recreate that experience in a vacuum.
I just don't see the creators with their past portfolios deciding that this is the commentary. I think that that's just a happy coincidence for people who want to read into it that way. But that's also the beauty of art, is that you can have different interpretations, and your interpretation is valid. I think I said this last week, I'm not one of those people that thinks that like the artist's creative intent is the only way to interpret that art. So,
Correct.
Somebody else's interpretation is totally fine, but I just have to like kind of roll my eyes, but politely, when I hear people mention meta commentary on it.
And here's the thing on that is that, yes, you're 100% right. Artistic interpretation is its own varied thing and can differ from person to person. But I'm taking a hypothetical look as to the story progression itself and what adding these new layers and this new twist into the game will actually hold. And I really foresee when they do a remake part 2 or a remake part 3, whatever, that they're really going to be diving more and more into the effects of what that will be. I hope so. Yeah, like, I would love it if there is a struggle to try to either stay the course of the official, spoilers.
Oh God,
of the official timeline.
I hate that. I think that it would be the most trite nonsense ever. That is such a not interesting thing to me.
Yeah, but like, think of the important moments that are coming up, specifically, the death of Aerith.
I don't want to think. That game existed. It happened. We don't need to do it again. We don't need to, because if they waffle on that, and if that's the thing that they do the entire time, that's so boring to me. Just do something friggin' new. Go ahead, explore, and don't be like, oh, should it be the timeline? You know what I mean? And it's the narrative fight in there against the Whispers or whatever, the Wills or whatever they were called.
I think they were called the Whispers on that, but think about the potential of what they could actually do with the story now, what they have. Okay, so you have this big traumatic moment, and if, let's say, Cloud happens to regain memories of what actually happened, and they're like blending those two together, he's going to know what happens to Aerith. He can go ahead and fight. He can go ahead and try to change that timeline.
Yeah, I hate that. I hate it.
What if the cost of that is to change the target of what actually happened, and that's the compromise of what happened. So let's say
I hate it.
Tifa's the one who dies now.
I hate it. I think it's dumb.
You don't think that is something that could be explored?
I think it can be, and I think that I'm not buying a ticket to get on that cruise ship. I think that is so lame, and I think that they should do something else. They tried to do that, what if this person died instead at the end of this game? Yeah.
And they fixed it. And what if their actions have ramifications for what just happened?
I think that that's such a boring thing to explore. I think that that's something that's always been explored in media before, and that's just not interesting. And I don't think, and here's my ultimate thing at the end, my final statement of all of this, is that I am not confident that this trifecta, this devil's triangle, if you will, of Oh god, this is a terrible image of Nomura, Kitase, and Toriyama. I don't have confidence that they can write a proper story. Give this to somebody else. Sit down, Grandpa.
Here's the thing. Regardless of whether or not that story element plays out, I do not think they could have wrapped all of that up into a single game.
Getting back to Neptunia's Beard, original proper question. Let's answer
yes. Yes. So, getting back to the original question, if this was the route that they wanted to take, if this is the route that Nomura and the rest of the Devil's Trifecta wanted to take...
You don't even know.
I don't think that they could have wrapped this up in a single game. I think it needed to be staggered in this way.
Yeah, so, okay. To answer the question of, do I think that they could have maintained quality realistically? No, I don't think so. So I think that there are things at play here that we as consumers do not know, such as how long was this game properly in production? Was the whole thing storyboarded in pre-production?
Mm-hmm.
Where could the fat be trimmed in the production schedule? Was Nomura allowed to change up a bunch of crap on a dime like he famously did in Final Fantasy 15? That kind of stuff. That's stuff that we will never know. So if they had done things more efficiently...
Or we will when Matt McMuscles decides to make a video of it in 20 years.
Yeah. I think that there were certainly things in production that could have been cut out just because I know who's at the helm, and I know that they're really given free reign. Final Fantasy 15 was nearly 10 years in development, and Nomura infamously was like, it needs to be a musical now because I just saw Les Miserables. And they were like, no, Nomura, this is year 8. You can't keep changing things all of a sudden. Like, they made like 4 games and then they threw away 3 of them. I mean, that happens. Yeah. That happens in production. But so much of this was due to like creative hubris when it's like, no, there needs to be a producer who has chains on the creative person. It sucks, but that's how you keep things going, and that's how you keep a project managed. You have the project manager who is kind of like the no fun police, making sure things stay the course.
Mm-hmm.
So the story that they want to tell, they could have told it in, multiple parts, but in differently structured parts. That's why I'm saying that like it should have been completely restructured. But when you're talking about that, I'm like basically saying if everything were changed, pacing, structure, characters, writing.
Yeah.
Especially knowing that they're going to build on a more expanded world established with other installments like Crisis Core and such. I'm not confident that these 3 guys can tell a cohesive story moving forward, especially with more senility that sets into them, starting now in 2020, the year of our Lord Fran Drescher.
And I guess my opinion on the entire thing is, to answer the question straight up, do I think that Final Fantasy VII Remade, and I'm going to say remade as opposed to remake, because remade is
whatever.
simply...
Just a pedantic criticism. Also, you said the name of the game wrong.
Remade instead of remake? Yeah, I'm getting to a point.
No, it's not Final Fantasy. We're talking about Fast Forward 7 Remake.
Oh.
Fast and the Furious 7 Remake.
Tokyo Drift.
That's the 3rd one.
So if they were simply going on the goal of redoing the voices and making everything look super pretty and, whatever the tech demo was a couple of years ago, yes, I think they could have gotten all of that quality into one game. They might have even been able to squeeze in the changes to the battle system that they did, although I don't think it would have been a good call if they had gone that route. But I honestly don't think that the remake that we got is of the same vein. So to that, I will answer no.
But that's the thing, is that the remake that we did get, it sort of is and it sort of isn't a remake, because they're still doing all the things that you expect them to do, except for that last chapter, really. So that's why I'm like, you didn't execute this properly.
Yeah, but here's the thing. We only know the first 30 hours of the story.
That's my point, though, is that the first 30 hours... So, hold on. The first 30 hours of gameplay, the first 20 hours of story. And my point is that this should have been changed up the first 10 hours of story. There was no reason for them to bloat out Midgar. I mean, I love certain parts being expanded upon, like Wall Market. That was really fun to look at that place, you know? But I think that so much stuff should have been changed, and it should have been telling you earlier on that this is a different ass game.
Yeah.
Not just like that sudden thing at the end that was just, it felt like it was shoehorned in there because they needed a big ending where there isn't a big ending.
Didn't they, like... I thought that they were putting in subtle hints near the beginning of the game itself that things were a little bit different.
Just the whisper nonsense.
Yeah.
And you know what that felt like? That felt... at first, I honestly thought that was just, like, foreshadowing for the train graveyard part that came up. So, like, the whole time I was like, okay, get this Kingdom Hearts shit out of my way, because there's, you know, ghosts in the train graveyard. And then they just kept appearing, and I was like, I just don't like this. Like, that's my point, is that it didn't progress anything. They just kept appearing. Like, it didn't progress, it didn't tell a new story, it didn't anything. And the mystery wasn't satisfying when they were like, what are they doing? Are they protecting? Are they stopping? Are they helping? You know what I mean? I just, whatever. Destiny, fine, whatever, blah, 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 timelines. Rather than telling the quote-unquote complete or whole story or whatever, I want the creators to tell their story, whatever that may be. But I want someone to be cracking the whip so that way they're not like, go ahead, Nomura, it can be Les Miserables. Go ahead, Year 8 development, you senile old man. I have way more faith if this were written by different people.
Well, it's going to be a couple years till we get a sequel to it anyway, so...
So yes, it should be in multiple parts. The quality is most important to keep retained. Like, that game looks beautiful in some places. It is the most beautiful game I have ever seen, and I really enjoyed a lot of it. But just, my problems are the story. My problems are the story. Guess who's behind the story? What? So thank you for writing into us, Neptunius Beard. Thank you for us going on that tangent. My God. 30-something-year-old man-child gets way too emotional over...
That is the headline.
Final Fight 7 Remake. No! Family Feud 7 Remake.
I don't think you've used that one yet.
So if you'd like to light my fire, you can write into us. The fire is the tangent. That's the bomb that explodes. I'm like a ba-bomb, okay?
Sure, we'll go with that.
Most controversial segment of the podcast. Write into us, nintendoeverythingpod@gmail.com.
Keep on sending those controversies to nintendoeverythingpod@gmail.com.
Galen farts. So, stay tuned to nintendoeverything.com. 24/7 news. Stay connected to us on Twitter as well, @nineverything. We also got the youtube.com/nineverything. And then, shout at me about my opinions on Final Fight 7 Remake, @Oni_Dino on the Twitter. I also do an Instagram, where sometimes I put pictures. Oni__Dino. Galen.
I have my Twitter, as I mentioned before, @Mobius087. And you can catch pictures of me and my family. I actually just uploaded a picture of my cat earlier today on Instagram. That is @True_Mobius.
And remember, please leave us a rating, a like, a share. Go to your favorite Discord and be like, this is my favorite podcast. It's okay if you lie. Don't worry.
I certainly do.
Bitch. So, Galen, what are you doing right now? Where are you going to go? What's going to happen right now? You're going to go do what?
I am going to go finish my dinner.
No, you're going to go to iTunes and you're going to leave us a review.
Oh.
I can't count on you, man.
Well, I can lie on the iTunes if you want me to.
Yes, 5 stars. 5-star lie.
5-star lie.
That does sound like a dish at a Chinese restaurant. Yeah, And for everything Nintendo,
stay tuned to Nintendo Everything.
Okay, bye-bye.
Adios.